One thing I really regret is how hard that was for our family. A job I probably should have said no to at the start. It was that sort of next jump up in terms of scale of where we wanted to go, and it was a very appealing job. They couldn't afford, they signed a fake contract and committed fraud basically. We had to pretty much fund that renovation to know we'd recover money back. If that happened a year earlier, we would have been in a lot of trouble.
What is success to you?
I think it was a learn to love it experience.
And there's always pitfalls that you can fall in, but then you've got no one else to blame but yourself.
Number one thing if you're struggling is to catch up with people about it.
This episode is brought to you by Forte, specialist in refined timber surfaces for inside and out. From elegant flooring and paneling to durable cladding and decking, Forte delivers unparalleled performance where it matters most. Their products are crafted to elevate every space, combining natural beauty with technical precision and enduring design with innovation. Discover more at forte.co.nz. Charlie, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Let's be honest, this is our second go at starting. Let's not fool the people listening.
No, it's all good.
That's my fault. But yeah, man, thanks for coming on. We're talking a little bit off air about the Brisbane market, which is where you're from.
Yeah.
And how, Southeast Queensland is sort of like probably right up there in terms of where you want to own a building business at the moment, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Like if you've got the drive to get through this market, then, there's certainly some opportunity around. And that probably goes from, Sunshine Beach right through down to the sort of our border down here through the Gold Coast. But we're specifically Brisbane. And it is a good market there at the moment, which is good. But, all these things at the moment are very dependent on real estate cycles and all those sorts of things as well. So, but we've got the Olympics coming up, so they it looks like it's going to keep on developing through.
Yeah,
which is a nice sort of feeling to know it's going to keep going through, I suppose.
Yeah, there's sort of been like a few factors, like you kind of have that kind of kept everything going. Like obviously there was like the floods there for a while as well, and a few other factors as well.
There's a few factors of like just in terms of I think a lifestyle that offers a really good benefit there as well. There's not quite as hustle and bustle as Sydney and Melbourne. So a lot of those people are coming up here. They've got sort of different sort of wealth as well. They think it's a good place to have a family, which, it is. It's a good place to be and have a family and have a building business.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your sort of upbringing. Like, who was Charlie as a kid? Like, were you a bit of a jock, a geek, a nerd, emo? Who were you? Who were you as like a young fella?
Oh, look, as a young fella, I suppose I probably had ambitions to play a level of sport that I wouldn't be building. So, rugby and cricket have been a big thing in my life, and probably still rugby is definitely still a big part of my life with my young fella getting into it now. That was sort of an avenue I thought potentially could have been, but it didn't happen. So I suppose when you're in that sort of environment, I didn't do too well at school. So, it wasn't I come from a line of dentists and lawyers in my family.
Right.
There's always been a background of business and in and around that with the family, which is good. But no one of a trade background. So I did my apprenticeship through a mate's dad, really old school business. They were still on the tools every day, sort of yelling at you. And it was a good apprenticeship looking back. Wouldn't be an apprenticeship you do these days, but certainly learned heaps from it. And that's probably my background into the trade. But certainly wasn't a bookworm at school, but always probably knew this is the industry I wanted to get into. And that's it's hard to make a decision at that age, I suppose, but we've followed it through from a young age. I started my apprenticeship at 17. So
you left school a little bit early? Or
No,
you
I
finished it?
finished school. I was lucky. We went to a private school in Brisbane, and I suppose that's a way a lot of people come through in Brizzy is through that private school system, and got a lot of great mates from there and a lot of great network from there, and just even other schools in Brisbane. You get to know
Yeah.
heaps of people through that. Brisbane's like this small town that's
What's the name of your
in a
school?
big city. I went to Villanova College.
Okay. I think
which
I've
is
heard
just-
of that.
Yeah, in a Brisbane, there's sort of churchy nearby. Laurie's, Iona. Like I've got a lot of Laurie's mates who still really good mates with. But mate, and then through the rugby club, you just keep in contact with everyone really. So
What position did you play? Halfback or what were you?
as a bustling 6 or 8, mate.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
I used to. David Pocock was my opposing number sometimes. So
Oh, really?
I quickly realised I wasn't good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go up against him, eh? He's like just a
mate, he was
unit.
machine.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So you love rugby. You a Reds fan?
I am a Reds fan. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the British and Irish Lions. We're going tomorrow night.
Is that happening tomorrow night with the Reds?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
By the
Big-
time this
big game.
comes out, it would have already happened.
Yeah.
So we'll know, by that time we'll know. But yeah, hopefully they can give them a bit of run for their
I
money.
hope so. Yeah, they've got a pretty good team going out tomorrow night. So, mate, hopefully it's a bit more respectable than the Western Force.
Yeah, the Western Force that has got demoed. Eh? I saw the highlights for that the other
Yeah,
day.
but mate, it's going to be a good festival of rugby in town for a while, which would be
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, that'd be cool, eh?
Yeah.
How would your friends have described you back then in terms of your personality, you reckon?
Oh, look, happy-go-lucky back then. Would have had a crack at most things. Maybe I was probably big. I was quite a big kid, tall and strong at that age. So, cricket and rugby were a big thing for me then. So it was nice to succeed at that level when you were younger. But reality kicks in sometimes, and
Yeah.
I probably chose cricket after school just because fronting up for footy and then work on Monday became a bit tough as a forward.
Yeah.
Look, I sort of took a bit of a cricket pathway as well after school, which was fun. I got a lot of good mates from that as well,
Yeah.
who have helped us building, and all those sort of club things are great to meet people, and you meet other builders, you meet electricians, you meet your other subcontractors, architects, all those sorts of things. So it's always a good opening for those things later in life, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm originally from South Africa.
Yeah,
So sorry about the recent.
domination of us.
Sorry, mate. I'm really sorry. Just rubbing it back in.
Yeah,
Just reminding you again. That's cool. Okay. So how did you kind of transition then into? So you went into your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Talk to me first about that. So what was that like? And also, okay, let's go, because I'm always interested when people come from private school background.
Yeah.
People aren't always encouraged to get into the trades, right? Because at private school, people kind of think like more white collar work.
Yeah.
Were you encouraged, or what was your vibe?
I suppose the writing was on the wall in terms of I wasn't doing an OP. And my parents sort of realised that, and they were really supportive of it. As long as I was working hard and had a goal of things, I think that's all my parents cared about. And it's been a hard life in times in terms of we've had to work really hard and grind through some things, but there's been some huge benefits from it as well.
Yeah.
Look, like I said, a mate's dad had a building business. He had a business partner, and they were looking for an apprenticeship at the right time. And I started as a school-based apprenticeship where I'd sort of go 1 day a week, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then on holidays, I'd just go, look, I'll just work for you guys for 2 weeks or whatever. And that was really good. It was a good soft entry into it. I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And then, mate, when I finished school, had a week at schoolies and then got into it basically. So,
And were you like, when you walked on site there for the first time, was it like a nervous thing, or you were all good because you've like?
I was pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Comfortable enough at
Yeah.
that stage. Like you knew when to shut your mouth and just get on with it. And like I'd like to think I had some street sense as well. Like, I wasn't a brash sort of guy coming through, it was sort of like really respect your elders, know your place on site, make sure you're helping them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was more of a traditional way of doing an apprenticeship than what it is now would be my comment.
Yeah.
So, but, it, you know, it was also good to see the business side of it as well. Although, you know, they weren't a massively sophisticated business, it was also good to see them, how they, you know, worked with architects, worked with owners. I got to see that hand on hand a lot, which was good. And mate, they were just good blokes. Like they'd knock off for a beer a lot, take us fishing.
Yeah.
But when it's hard work was on, it was on.
Yeah. That's good though, eh? Because like a lot of those guys back in the day, they worked super hard, but then also like they knew the lifestyle element, what was important. Sometimes, because you can sometimes judge those guys, and then when you're in the game for long enough, you look back at them, you go, actually, like maybe they were right, you know, like
like they didn't chase money like we do now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I remember we were working with some pretty prominent architects at that time, and you know, they'd just be there with shirts off and you know, writing on the back of a tape measure sort of thing, some notes. Like computers weren't really a huge thing back then. Like there was no iPhones. Terry, one of the partners, would sort of go home like, you know, halfway through the day and get some paperwork done and stuff like that. But other than that, it was sort of like just paper everywhere on a site desk and trying to work it out. So it's kind of like I did learn to go, look, I like where they're at, but you did know, I don't know whether this can be like this forever in business.
Yeah.
So very thankful for the way I did my apprenticeship though. It was sort of one of the business partners, Kent, really took me under his wing. We got along really well. But he sort of saw that I was really keen on the carpentry side of things. And mate, it was a good apprenticeship, you know. Like I wasn't bounced around 3 or 4 different foremans. I wasn't smashed like a labourer sort of thing.
Yeah, it was one guy that gave a shit, wanted to teach you.
Yeah. So, you know, and if you embrace that, he'd give it back to you sort of thing. So I was very fortunate that it was just a mate's dad that worked out well for me sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And then did you get qualified with those guys?
Yeah. So I finished my apprenticeship and then I got an offer to go overseas and play cricket.
Cool.
So I did that for 6-7 months over there, had a heap of fun. Came back and GFC hit. So
nice.
They didn't have a heap of work, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and their business was sort of struggling a little bit anyway. The business partners didn't quite see eye to eye on a lot of things, so I could see that tapering out. So look, out of respect, I wanted to do another 6 months to a year with them just because I'd done my time with them. I just thought it felt this was the right thing to do. So did that. I became a sort of a licensed carpenter as a subcontractor, which not a lot of guys do anymore. They sort of they don't get their subbies license, so they'll just work for someone on wages. Whereas back then, you know, we were a little business within ourselves. So that was a good little learning curve as well. You know,
so you're like running your own crew a little bit?
No, it was just me.
Right.
But you had to pay your own GST. You had to invoice. There was things you had to take care of as a little ecosystem, I suppose, and it sort of taught me some things as well. And then, you know, I could go do other little jobs, like I'd go build a deck for someone and you know, start doing those little things when Kent and Terry weren't all that busy. I could fill in stuff of my own. So that was good. And it was a bit of a learning curve. And like I said, it was sort of that time where it was the GFC, so it was a bit of a learning curve as well on a business side of things. So, I did that, and then I would have done a lot of little jobs by myself, like decks, bathrooms, fences, those sorts of things. But it also kept a lot to take up, just to keep that going, keep that rolling. And as a young bloke with the world around you, it was sort of, you got a bit distracted sometimes. So, you know, with not a lot of overhead and stuff like that, you sort of go, oh, I'm making good money this week, and
maybe take
why
a
am
week
I
off.
making any? Yeah, exactly, you know what I mean? So And then life got a bit more serious. Met my wife, and sort of had to knuckle down a little bit more from there.
Cool. And then when you got to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to start my own construction business now.
Yeah.
What was that process like? And what were some misconceptions you had about having your own business versus like the reality of it when you sort of kicked it off, do you think?
Oh, look. So we've obviously got to do our builder's license over here. So I did that when I got back from overseas playing cricket.
Right.
And so I got that pretty early. I got that when I was 21. And I knew I didn't have the experience to be a builder yet. So I had this ticket. And so I went and worked for a builder around our area. Again, just trying to learn about business, really watch what they did, how they went about it, what they were doing. And then I was starting to get a bit of a drive going along. I've got a builder's license. I can use this. So I sort of started off at this business as probably a younger fella in that company, and then became a foreman there pretty quickly. So I got confidence on running sites, organising trades, getting materials in, and sort of the confidence grew.
Yeah.
And not just the carpentry side of things, but being able to sort of bring it all together. And then, on the weekends, I'd keep on doing decks and bathrooms and things like that. And then I got a guy working for me while I was working for someone else. And, these things never work perfectly.
Yeah.
But again, it's learning experiences. It's about gaining relationships with people. And then I sort of went, look, after time, this is certainly where we're going to be going. It's just about getting the confidence and I suppose a bit of the money behind you and all those sorts of things. So that's where we started to do that. So I worked for that builder for probably 4 years. And then, we decided to hit the go button on ours with no contracts in place.
Real. So you were just like going cold. You're like, let's go.
It was time to do it. It just felt right the time that we did it. I'd finished for our electrician, it was his family home. I'd sort of done a pool and a big carport off that, and that sort of got us running. And I had a chippy with me, and then I'll never forget this. It was a really hard learning experience. We got onto this a new build, and it was a pretty simple new build. But for me, I was like, this is our first. This is going to be great. Like, we're going to smash this. Yeah. It's probably 6-7 months work. It wasn't a massive one. Really nice clients, and this guy was retired. Anyway, we got down through it, and we were going to rip into it, and he didn't get the bank loan. So we were a week out from starting, and we'd signed contracts, done everything, and the bank pulled the pins. So I'd put on guys for it. I'd had everything organised.
Shit.
We just had our first daughter. And I was just quietly shitting myself at that stage.
What a punch in the stomach, eh? So you were just like, oh no, it's not happening. Like before we even started, it's like
it was a hard one. We were building our own house at that stage. So we were able to fill in, but not while you were earning money. And then we sort of hustled around to get some more work at that stage, sort of forget what landed on our lap after that, but it wasn't anything massive, that's for sure.
Cheapers, this is like so like in terms of from a business point of view, because you would have been so excited and you would have been all pumped.
It was, yeah.
And then
it was hard. And I remember the guy, I'd put on 2 guys for the job.
Yeah.
And I had to tell one of them, and I can't put you on. And I remember that being pretty devastated. So that was my first sort of real experience with that. I kept one other guy on who was really loyal to me for a lot of years there, and he's gone out on his own now, and still a really good bloke that we keep in contact with. But
cool.
That was the early doors of the business, I suppose.
So then you started chipping away, doing small jobs, then a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your company, where it is today. Can Give me this. How big is your team currently? That's like the general question people ask at a
yeah.
barbecue. How big is your
How
team,
big's
mate?
your team? For some reason, that's a measure of success.
It's like a measure of success, but then you also know that it's like not really a measure of success.
Nah.
So how big is your team? Like how many projects do you guys normally do every year? That sort of thing.
Look, if I could put the perfect year for us would be 4 jobs on the go at one time, all above 2.5 million.
Cool.
Would be the ideal scenario. Our teams, we've got 9 on the ground. There's me in the office, and I've got a project manager in the office with me as well. Got a bookkeeper behind that sort of is in and out, but not full time. And that's basically us as a business. We are looking at trying to restructure a little bit and understand. I get bogged down in the business all the time, and just the nitty gritty of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't feel like a builder because you haven't made a building decision in ages. I'm sifting through invoices and doing variations and all those sorts of things. And so I'm trying to work out a way where we're not getting bogged down in that as much. And look, that probably means we need to have 4 good sized builds on the go. We're probably at the moment we're 3, and then we get a little 500 or a $1 million one that sort of drags along there in the corner sort of thing, which is good. And that has to be like the perfect scenario. It's normally a friend or we just finished our accountant's office or something like that. That's sort of they can be good. You're in and out quick enough, but most of our builds are sort of 12 to 18 months long. And
you got a few supervisors or site foremen on site that sort of, are they quite accountable to the sites themselves, or how's that set up?
Yeah, so look, I've always been, and it's from learning from where I was as well. I saw them bouncing in between sites all the time, and no one was accountable. And then some person would say this, and another person would say this, and then there'd be this infighting. I was like, oh, that's not what to do. So I've always been a really big fan of having a foreman, a mid-tier carpenter, and an apprentice as a perfect team. And then when you need to flood it with guys, you can bring other guys in, whether they be subcontractors or, we might be digging on another site. So those guys go over and clad. That's worked really well on a job. I was just saying to a mate before, I said, look, we weren't behind on this job, but about $100,000 worth of variations got put in carpenter. We had to reclad and do all this, and so it was going to put us into next year. And now, because we were digging out on another 2 jobs, I had eight guys there getting done all the weatherboards, doing all these beautiful architectural details inside that were taking time, but I could just operate 2 or 3 teams there at once, and we're now probably 3 months ahead.
Wow.
Which has been awesome, but then you go, I need another job to fill that spot now. So it's always a catch-22. You got to keep chasing it. But that's the way I would like to run a site. Is that the people there don't really go in and out of it. They're accountable for the job. The architect knows that's the foreman. And there's an accountability there from that side of things. I think the owners also like to see it, the same people there, they know the job, they get to know them well enough.
There's something about that, where they almost start building a relationship with that foreman on that site, which kind of keeps you out of it a little bit as well. And then they can,
it's a trust system. If it's all going well, why would you want other people on the site? You know what I mean? So, look, there's been times where we've had to sub people in and out of certain roles, but look, consistently and we've knocked back jobs knowing that we can't get the staff. I look at that as a real headache and going, if you're trying to bring a team there and get that to a spot, and then bringing that team over here and trying to get that, bouncing back and forward for the nature of the stuff that we do, which is so involved with architects and so heavily involved with other trades asking questions, you just can't not be there.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Other certain builds, I completely get it. But for the stuff we're doing, you just have to constantly be there and show up. And if it does go over time a little bit or whatever, no one's really upset at us because they're working our ass off basically. So,
Yeah.
but you know, when people aren't there, you can understand owners getting
Yeah,
probably peeved
100%.
off a little bit.
Talking about the type of projects, you guys have attracted and worked on great projects. Like
Yeah.
looking at your Instagram,
Yeah.
looking at your website, which is amazing.
Yeah.
How do you guys get those jobs? Like, are they direct with clients? Do they come through architects? How do you?
Yeah.
Is it a bit of both?
Bit of both. Like we've got a really good relationship with DHA Architecture.
Cool.
They're great people. We think do really beautiful work. We've been fortunate enough as sort of, you know, other architects sort us out and do their work, and it's been, you know, some of that can be a really, really huge honour. Like there's some unreal architects in Southeast Queensland, like just I reckon some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool meeting those sorts of people and doing their work. But a bit of both. Like sometimes, you know, people see our and want to know how you guide them through that process and we can point them in the right direction. And then, you know, some of our stuff that we've built sold. So, you know, real estate agents then recommend who's built this build and it's just, it becomes a bit of an ecosystem, I suppose. But look, yeah, we've still got to chase work every now and again as well and put ourselves in front of some people. We've probably rested a little bit on our heels a little bit with certain few architects. That's hasn't hurt us. I've probably been late, to be honest with you, and just thought I'd just always just keep on coming through. And every business goes through cycles as well. So we're certainly at a point where we've got a good track record. I can go to other architects quite confidently now and go, I know we can do this.
So when you talk about your business, why do you think, just to get a bit of an idea of how you guys sort of operate, like why do you think architects like working with you guys? Like what particularly, how do you operate and what do you do that makes them, you know, that makes it an enjoyable experience for them? Yeah,
look, I've never gone to an architect, this can't be done. There's always a way. And I think it's sometimes you just got to work with people. I'm a big fan of working with the three people, the architect, us and the owners, and all being on the same page. If all that's not on the same page, then it's going to end badly, you know. And that's not where we want to be. 9 out of 10 of our clients have been friends with afterwards. So that to me is what a successful job is. But when all that's not on the same page, it can be pretty awful.
Yeah.
It's happened a couple of times. But, you know, I think architects like certain type of builders who want to, 1, be able to do it, 2, can give good quality, and 3, have good communication. But the quality's got to be there, and the consistency of quality's got to be there. It can't be one build you've done well. You've got to do the same standard every time and have the same morals. Probably morals is a big one. Doing the right thing by people, you know, goes a long way. Architects see that.
Yeah, like, and also like as the build, like especially if the client went directly to the architect first, then you come in, like you're really kind of like representing the architect, right? So they're really putting a lot of trust in you to take that relationship on with the client, representing them, not throwing them under the bus when like when they've missed a detail or something.
Exactly, and everyone's human. People miss things. Engineer might miss a beam. Those things I find some builders can blow those things out of proportion. It's like, this will work its way out. Let's not. Go.
Chill out.
You know, like it'll all work itself out in the long run. And look, I'm probably a little bit cruisier in that scenario than some, but look, I've certainly got my pressure points too, where hey, this is costing us some money here. We're going to have a chat. But the main thing would be to go, look, we know we can build these to a quality that the architect and the owner's happy with. And yes, it takes a lot of trust to engage us in that process, especially if it's not tendered. And tendering is probably sort of something we're trying to stay well clear of.
So you guys you don't want to be in competitive environments. You want the architect to choose you, and then you kind of work together. when you guys then price it up, do you price it up or do you get a quantity surveyor or
something that
estimator?
we're looking at changing a little bit as we're speaking. So yeah, we have always done all of our estimating in-house. So my project manager and I share that. We've just changed building systems, I suppose. So we've always used the same quoting system, but didn't quite have a management system in play. So that's now in play.
What are you guys using?
Wonderbuild.
Okay.
We've used.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about them.
Yeah. You know, there's a few little gaps in it, but most of it's what we're after.
Yeah.
And we've always used Solo Assist to estimate and quote. It's hard when you know something like the back of your hand. It's hard to change away from it, but I am getting a bigger picture of that now, and we will probably. I've found a guy who I think we can trust in that role, and it's probably specialises in architectural work as well in our region. So, it's something we're certainly looking to take out of our hands.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge you guys have at the moment in your business, do you think?
Estimating. It is just a never-ending cycle of trying to get the people to understand the people who are serious, trying to understand the people who can afford it. You know, we're often the bad guy putting in the price, whereas we're just pricing it what's in front of us. So yeah, it's very rare that you hand in the price and everyone's stoked and wants to add things to it. It's always
rework.
Rework and get it back to budget. So all those things are taking a lot longer than they used to. They used to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months. That's now 6, 12, 15 months to get them on site. So I'm finding that difficult.
A quick shout out to Forte supporting today's episode. They work across flooring, wall surfaces, exteriors, and more. But what sets them apart is how their timber performs over time. Forte is trusted by architects, designers, and builders, not just for their materials, but for the way they support projects from vision to completion. It's about enriching connections and creating something built to last. Learn more at forte.co.nz. So, it's obvious that the solution is to have the builders involved early and design to budget, right? But, why do you think the industry is it just how it's always been? Or do you think it's changing? Because I feel like a time's going to come where the average man on the street's going to know that if you go to an architect, tell them your dream and your budget, it's going to come up 30%, 40% over budget for whatever, right? So how do we, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that it's just how the industry's always been?
It's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I think architects are in a bit of a rock and a hard spot as well. As Instagram is opened up a lot of doors for a lot of people, it's also made people want more.
Yes.
And I think people want so much in their homes now that it's putting a massive pressure on architects because they just keep drawing and then they keep drawing and they keep drawing and it all looks beautiful on paper. And once you've seen that beautiful bit of paper,
you can't go backwards.
It's very hard to go backwards.
Yeah.
And even when the builds are going, everyone's, once you're at a certain level, everyone has a friend with another nice home and you see things and it's just, it becomes a bit of an evolving thing. So look, I do feel for the architects too. It's not like me as a builder going, bloody architects have drawn this over this again and we're stuck with it sort of thing. I think it's got to be a process of working through the process. If we're there, often I'm just the bad guy in the meeting going, that's costing more. That's costing more.
Yeah.
That's going to be another 100. It keeps everyone accountable. But I mean, I think the best process is to get the builder in with the architect.
Yeah.
Because one, the architect trusts the builder who knows they're going to do it right. They're not recommending a person they don't. And then, through that, it's not a 3 to 5, 6 month process anymore. It's let's call it a 12-month process. That trust is building. We're doing the right things. We're giving you the right advice. We're giving you the information you need. My biggest role is giving people information of what costings are in their build. You know what I mean? The guys on site do the on-site stuff, but that's where my skill comes into it, and that's because I've done a lot of estimating on my own as well.
Yeah.
But all that stuff. I don't know.
How do you get? It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, unless you're doing in-house design.
Yeah.
Build or development, it's a very hard bridge to.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dance. It's not.
Yeah,
perfect.
It is. It's not perfect. And look, the ones that go really perfectly, you go, why can't we just do this all the time? You know, we've got 3 on site where they've all trusted us from the beginning. And it's been a really smooth process, and the clients understand us. We understand the clients. So it's been really enjoyable.
Yeah.
I can't. It is a hard thing because you go, well, this is going so well. Why wouldn't the architects want to do this all the time?
Yeah.
But it is very client driven as well, and
100%.
Their level of trust.
Because you can get to a point where it works super well. And then you like work with the same architect again, and now the client's a little bit different again, and then all 3 has to really be on the same page for that to be smooth.
But like we've done most of our jobs being DHA work, which has been great. But saying that, over 8 to 10 years of doing their work, we've buggered up some things in terms of the way we price it to what happened on site. We're not making those mistakes again though. So like I'm now a 10-year experienced architectural builder, whereas you've got a guy maybe 2-3 years into it, and they've got all this optimism about things, and they'll have to wear some things on the chin, whereas he still might be doing a brilliant product at the end. So it's hard.
Sometimes time is just what you need to kind of solve through that. In terms of the early contractor involvement, do you ever get them to sign like a prelim agreement or any of that sort of stuff? Or do you just
a pretty general early agreement. And normally we just sort of ask for but depending on the size of the project, 5 to 10,000 for an engagement fee. And then that, if we get the job, that just comes off your price, basically.
Yeah. So something to show commitment.
Just a commitment. Yeah, for us to know, hey, we want to invest in you, and vice versa.
Yeah. Did you have to change because I know I talk to a lot of builders about transitioning from, they go free quote, and then all of a sudden they go to more of a model of like, I need you to show some commitment, sign here.
Sure.
Even though generally those agreements are not worth the paper is written on. It's just it's almost just like a sign of commitment, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about Australia, but definitely New Zealand, it's not really, it's not really that binding. But
no, it's not.
It's just you're just showing a commitment, right? And then also gets rid of the tie kickers, and then also having that fee in there also gets rid of the tie kickers. But what did you have to kind of go through a change in mindset? Was there a mindset shift that had to happen where you kind of back yourself to go from free quote to all of a sudden going, nah, it's going to be like $7,000 to quote this?
Yeah, I think it comes with experience and confidence. But also, like, on the flip side of that, I just think tenders are so pointless. I just don't see the point in them. But on the flip side of that, when you don't, like we had a great client the other day, and I thought we were really aligned, and then I brought this up. I went out to the meeting, said, are you speaking to any other builders? Blah, blah, blah. He said, yeah, we're speaking to 3 others. You're the one the architect recommended. I said, great. But this is the process of getting it on site. He said, that's great. Let me speak to my wife in the background. He came back and said, look, we're going to get 3 prices from builders. You're welcome to be in that pile. So I would have been the 4th. I said, look, and I gave them my fee proposal, and they just didn't see the worth in it, which, that's been the first one in a long while where that's been the case. And the job was really aligned to us. And I was sort of, what do we do wrong? But look, in the long thing, I think these things happen for a reason. You just got to be persistent with it. Don't let the one knockback think what you're doing is not the right thing to do, because there is like that. Say you charged $5,000 to get it on site. Yeah, that wouldn't even go close to covering the amount of work.
No, it's just like a sign of
there.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to cover your time.
No, but they're probably not doing that to 3 or 4 builders either. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
They're doing that to one. Like we one didn't go ahead because of a family situation, and we charged it, and it was frustrating that it didn't go ahead. But at the end of the day, I felt as though they hadn't taken advantage of us. We'd done the right thing by them. There's nothing else you can do about that situation, sort of thing.
A lot of times you got to choose, when you meet clients, and I assume when when you're introduced to a client, you want to meet them face to face, and as much as they are interviewing you, you're kind of like asking them about their project and everything, but you're kind of interviewing them as well, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the red flags that you look for, or what are some things that you've learned over the years of things that they say or the way that they act or how they approach it that makes you go, this is not, maybe it's a red flag here?
It's funny, going back to that situation, I was the only builder to go out and meet them. And then I was like, why would a builder not go out and meet? Why would they just throw their hat in the ring? Who knows who they're getting involved with? All those sorts of things.
It's like a blind marriage, Yeah,
exactly. Like I've always said, look, say you start from the start of quoting to finishing, it could be a 2.5, 3 year period. If you've got a rubbish girlfriend, you can get rid of them. But if you've got a contract with someone, you're committed. So it's really important to know you're going to get along with them, would be my comment. And my best builds have been people who love what we do, get along with us. You're so happy to work for them hard. You know what I mean? You drive harder at the end of the job to get them in and all those sorts of things. So when people are scratching your back and patting on the back, come on, it's just one of those things. But look, yes, we are interviewing them as well, and there's been plenty of jobs where we go, don't want to know about that one. That's not for us.
Just like gut feel, like, nah, it's not going to work.
It's gut feel. It's sort of how much time they're giving you in the meeting, sort of trying to understand what sort of business they're in and values they have. Do you know anyone associated with us? I can't quite put my finger on every little pinch point there, but there's certainly things there you'll get a gauge of. Look, I like to think I get along with most people, but if there's a bit of banter back and forward and all that sort of stuff, it goes a long way. I think
respect and all that as well.
So I can't quite put my finger on the exact questions, but there's certainly things there you put a mental note in and go, that's a good thing and that's a bad thing, and weigh those up and see where you're at on things.
Yeah. In terms of your business, because you've been in business like 10 years now. What are the numbers that you look at to kind of indicate to you that things are tracking along nicely, or versus not? Is there sort of specific elements that you sort of want to keep your eye on in terms of projects, in terms of like the company itself?
Yeah, look, that's changed over the years in terms of how much you've turned over. We've been pretty consistently turning over the same amount of money for probably 4 or 5 years. And then from that, we understand our overheads really well. And they're consistent every month. Like they're just, it's like that, except around Christmas when you're chugging a few more beers every now and again. But, you sort of know that, and that becomes systematic. And 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't know it. And that's pretty embarrassing to say. And you turn over this money and you're looking at each job and you're going, I'm making, let's just say you make 20% on it, the magic figure of what everyone thinks a building business should run at, and you're going, why aren't I making any money? Where is it? It just seems to be this never-ending cycle of it all. And I just had to stop. So we changed accountants because I didn't think the other guys were understanding our business very well, and work in progress and all those sorts of things. So we changed accountants, and then with that accountant, they had a CFO offering, which has been a real game changer for me as a business person, and understanding of business. Because, I'm a carpenter by trade. You do your course, and all of a sudden you can turn over millions of dollars. And it's never that we did the wrong thing and bought boats and cars and stupid shit. it just didn't understand the business enough.
Yeah.
And my overhead structure. So we shouldn't be talking gross profit. It should always be net profit. And I think the sooner builders can realise that, the better. Like it's just so that's my big indicator. I look at it every month. So if our overheads went up, I need to know why. Normally I would know why, but they're very consistent. I think consistency in overheads is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then, the net profit in between that should work out if you're performing the jobs well.
Yeah.
But you got to price it for that setup as well, and that's not 20%.
Yeah. What sort of what net profit margin do you think builders should be aiming for in order to like survive in this game?
Oh, look, it's got to be over 10. Anything under 10, I think you're cooked. I think between 12 to 14's rockstar. There might be a few guys getting a little bit more net profit, but they're probably doing other things as well.
Yeah.
For our business to have 12 to 14% net, which is our goal, that's a healthy business for me.
Yeah.
But I think if you're under the 10s, you're starting to flirt with a Grim Reaper, if you ask me.
Yeah. You're walking the plank a little bit.
and just every decision around your business will impact it, whether you know it or not. Because building businesses seem to die a slow death as well. They're not like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get another deposit from here, and this one will pay for that one. And as much as probably owners don't want to hear that, it just you can eke it out a little bit. It's not comfortable, and I just don't know how many builders know that. It's certainly been a big conversation around the builders that I know, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, to get understandings around that. But it's also really hard when you come in at a certain percentage and might be 4 or 5% more than another builder. How do they break that down in their quote versus how I broke it down in our quote? Have they hid that in another area? Have we just given it to them in a percentage? So there's no industry standard on it.
Yeah, it's a bit of the wild west,
and that's what
that.
I find difficult.
Yeah,
getting across to architects and owners.
In terms of other builders, like obviously not just on Instagram, but you obviously know other builders and guys been in the industry for a while. What do you think is the difference between the builders that do really well? They do a good job, the clients love them, they make good money, they're growing, versus builders that sort of just like, trickle along and sort of not get anywhere. What do you think is the difference?
I think probably the biggest difference will be people get stuck in that I'm a carpenter builder and not run a business side of it. And I get stuck in the nitty gritty of our business, but I don't go to the sales side of it enough. So it can swing a little bit, but and like we're not perfect either. Don't get me wrong. There's so many things we could do better. But I think the people who treat it as a business and have an office front, have that ability to scale, it takes a long time to get the right team around you. You know what I mean? And I've got a mate from school who's an excellent builder. He is unbelievable carpenter. But he's said, I don't know how you do it. Have so many on the go, and you're dealing with this and you're dealing with that, and he does pretty much one build and maybe a bathroom on the side of that one. Still got 4 guys working for him, but so look, I've just worked really hard to get the right people around. I've got an amazing project manager who's just got my back on everything, and vice versa. But we've invested in him. He was originally a carpenter with us. He's sort of gone into that role. But there's other people I could get into that role who have different skill set. But my project manager, there's so many great things about him. We've probably got the same skill set, but he just, mate, he's there. He's got your back.
Yeah,
that's really important.
Because you got like the model of like you in the middle, you're the center of the universe of your business, and it's like you, bunch of helpers, right? It's like how a lot of builders run it when they start off. It's like me, a bunch of helpers.
Yeah.
Where you've kind of you're trying to remove yourself from it, get certain people in the right leadership roles.
You have to. Like if you're going to stuck in that, you'll just, that's where you'll be.
Yeah.
And we've been stuck there. I suppose they call it and we're probably nearly stuck on that next little bit too, but I think we're not too far off it either about sort of being able to pivot a little bit more on bigger builds and still have the 4, but just them being bigger scale because we've got the track record now.
Yeah.
But that, you know, that only comes from trusting the right people. And we've had people in the business who we've trusted and it's hurt us, and vice versa, who've done really well in the business.
Yeah. It's not always fun talking about, but building doesn't always go right.
No.
Sometimes it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a lot of times, it goes wrong as well. What's sort of the hardest period you've gone through as a business owner?
Probably that period where we started to turn over a considerable amount of money, and you were looking at it going, "Where is it?" sort of thing. I am very proud of the fact that we've never missed a paycheck for our guys ever. Since starting the business with basically zero in the bank account, and subbies and we've never had overdue bills or anything like that, which is good, but it sometimes can be really hard. That was a really hard time. We had a client too who's made it incredibly difficult. They had 2 houses and we'd finished their mansion and they'd moved into it, and then we had to finish their other one. And by that stage, the relationship was starting to crack a little bit around variations and things that were all signed off on and sort of paid nearly. We had to get this other house done so they could afford to pay those variations. You know, they couldn't afford. They signed a fake contract and they just committed fraud basically. And anyway, so we had to front up the cost to get through that period. It was probably a 4 or 5 month period where we had to pretty much fund that renovation to know we'd recover money back. I'm glad we were fortunate enough to be able to be in that position to do it. If we weren't, I think that could have gone really badly.
Yeah.
It would have gone to court. It just, you know, your emotions would have got tied up into it. It all worked out.
So how much did you have to eat there in the short term to kind of get that done?
Close to $500,000.
Wow.
We just sold our family home. So, you know, we did reasonably well out of that. And so, like I said, it was this circumstance. If that happened a year earlier, we would have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And what was that like? Like, what impact did that have on you personally at that time? Like stress levels and
huge. Like I wasn't the boss I wanted to be. I wasn't the family man I wanted to be. It really affected me a lot. I learned a lot out of it. And it was a job I probably should have said no to at the start. But it was that sort of next jump up in terms of scale of where we wanted to go, and it was a very appealing job. But yeah, I was sort of reservations. The architect fully warned us before it. So this one could be a prickly one. And look, for 18 months it was really good, but the last 6 got really hard very quickly. To the fact that I even had carpenters on sites in tears, sort of thing. Just the way these people engaged with you, it was just I'd never been put on the back foot so much, and then by the end of it, it just got quite toxic. But yeah, the really hard time in our business, really hard on my family. And one thing I really regret is how hard that was for our family. You can't take time back, but it was pleasant.
And was that just you being so under so much pressure, being so overwhelmed, and then that would spill over? Yeah.
I've always had this thing. Once we had kids, I wouldn't work Saturdays, and I would often be in there on Saturdays because he would be like, notification and just wouldn't stop on my phone. And I didn't have boundaries of, I won't take that phone call at this certain time. And that was starting to impact my wife. She'd be cooking dinner and we'd have 3 young kids and Grace was 2 then. And I'd be out in the back on the phone and trying to do other things, and that's not fair to your family. So it had me rattled in that perspective. And I've now got boundaries. Like if someone calls me at 5, I'm not calling you. If you call me on the weekend, I'm not calling you back either. So, I've now got boundaries in place, and I think it's really important from a mental health perspective and your family perspective, because the reason you do it is for your family, but also it doesn't take long for it to chew back into that time that, you don't get those years back.
Yeah. In terms of that mindset thing, any business owner always deals with that sort of, what is happening up here, like the battlefield of the mind is a real thing, and it is a battle. You have ups and you have downs. Have you ever struggled with like downs and try, struggling to get out of bed in the morning, not wanting to do this anymore, like the job?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it can be a pretty grinding business. As much as you think you're doing the right thing by everyone, there's a lot of people leaning on you to get paid emotionally, all those sorts of things. I think the industry's gone through a really tough period in the last 5 years since COVID. 1, it's gotten really busy, and 2, I think it's given people an overinflated ego on what they can and can't do. And then there are some people's morals just don't align with you. And along that period of time, we've got some really great bunch of subcontractors who have been really loyal to us and vice versa. But there are some every now and again where you've got to sub one out and bring another one in, and the learning curves in certain periods of those have been hard. And I like being liked. I don't love conflict. I can be pretty brash, and it's something I'm really working on. When something doesn't go well, I'm very, very understanding to a point. But the point I feel like you're morally not aligned, I can really be quite cutthroat. It's something I'm really trying to work on a lot. And the conflicts I've had around that have people think, it just goes over you. It doesn't. They stick with you. And it's not a nice feeling. And it's not the person I am or want to be. So they're things we're really working on that side of things. And then, in terms of being passionate about what you do every day, it's sort of, I'm really trying to get that back at the moment, to be really passionate about what we do. There's a reason we build architectural homes, because they last forever. You're building a quality product. I couldn't come and build cookie cutter homes and just, morally, it just doesn't sit well with me, you know what I mean? So I think we are doing the right thing. It's just getting that back into perspective about, hey, this is why we're doing this sort of thing. But, there's easier things to do in life than build architectural homes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. When you get knocked back, when you get punched in the face enough times, it's not always easy to keep that.
Sometimes it gets on a roll too. Like it's sort of like, jeepers, another thing. And then we had that much rain at the start of this year here that was like, it's very hard to finish jobs in the rain because you're trying to get all those little things perfect, but also it can just create some problems.
Yeah.
And we handed over a job that we were really proud of, and it had a leak in the cyclone. Oh, God. And there was a reason for that, and we went back and fixed it. It just is what it is. You don't mean to make a leak on someone's house. We took full ownership and got it sorted. But those things can be hard to get through sometimes. You're like, geez, I thought we did everything right there. Where's this? And then the owners don't think the best of you because of, it's like, we didn't want this to happen, but we're trying to fix this as quick as possible. But look, those periods can sometimes be really hard to get through while keeping your other clients really happy as well, and fronting up at home and doing all those sorts of things. It can be a juggle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially with family as well, and you gotta sometimes you stand at the front door, or like you'll park up at your house, right? You take a couple of deep breaths before you walk in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, from that, it can be, look, you got to be resilient and tough to get through it. And I'd say every builder's been through those stages. No builder's had this perfect ride through.
And is there anything practically that's helped you to kind of snap out of it? Because sometimes you're like, oh, another thing, and you're just like, what stopped you from start swinging? Like, anything practical that you've done that sort of snaps you out of it a little bit, helps you just to like de-stress, helps you just to like,
I come home and like have a full bottle of wine and
then another one.
No. Look, in all seriousness, I think if your mental health's in a good way and you're healthy in terms of keeping active, and I ebb and flow through that, and it's something I am really trying to make consistent in my life. One, let's cut back on the drinks during the week. Let's make standards around exercise and prioritising some time to yourself. I try and play golf like early Friday morning. Like, just my team normally knows Friday morning I'm out. I got the same group of blokes I play with every Friday, or at least 3 days out of the month. I'm at work by 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's just something that I've learned. If you don't look after yourself, it'll start crumbling down around you. You can't be on business all the time, on as a family time, and have no time for yourself. Look, I've been through stages where it is just all business. You come home, do the kids' stuff, have dinner, say good day to your wife, and go back to work, at the kitchen table. And I would say most building businesses would have to do that at the early years, but it's not sustainable. You cannot do it forever. It will just ruin something else around you. So I would say, look, putting your mental health first is a big thing. And be conscious of it. Don't be too tough to think it's not going to get you. Because, if the minute you aren't keeping up around that and keeping standards around yourself, I think you struggle. And I've certainly struggled.
Yeah. I love that phrase. I love the wording that you use around standards, because we're so good as business owners to have standards on things. Okay, this is the standard on this procedure. This is how we do this in the business. You got to have high standards, but when it comes to ourselves, we let that standards drop.
And you're not sleeping properly. And it's one thing when you do take notice of that stuff and you do sleep and you get off the grog and you do exercise, you go, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these bigger problems aren't becoming as bigger problems as they were. And man, that's only the last 6 months I've sort of started to realise that. You know what I mean? Like, so it's been a big shift in my head to get around that as well. Sort of,
well, that's great, Charlie. You're getting around that. Like, now that you have been in business a while, obviously this may change for you moving forward, but where you are right now, like what is success to you now as you're sitting here?
Interesting one. Success for me as a business would be, and we've got 3 really good functioning teams. They all get along. I've got a project manager who's amazing. I think my mental state's getting better, so that like everything's getting better around that. So that's one massive tick. Next tick for me would just be to have the financial security for our family, and starting to build some wealth in and around that. And look, we're starting to get there, and reestablishing goals in and around that. But that's probably our goal around what we're not an overly, I don't want to buy big boats and do all that sort of stuff, but we've got family goals of wanting the kids to travel every second year sort of thing. get them through private schooling, and obviously a goal around, housing's pretty hard at the moment for young fellas. So, we got goals in place to sort of build a family wealth around that, and that would be expanding the business in other areas to be able to sort of more of the family ecosystem of how we get them into housing and get them invested early instead of the traditional route of you just make it on your own. Because fortunately, I think that's probably gone for my kids, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, by that time, it would be tough.
So that's probably where we are on that side of thinking. So
that's awesome, man. And that's probably a good way for us to finish up. Believe it or not, we've sat for an hour. Probably felt like it goes real quick once you get into it. But I appreciate you coming on, Charlie. I appreciate your honesty and like some realness in there, right? It's like running a building business it's no joke. There's ups and there's downs, and
I think people can make it look the way they want to make it look on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like there's a reality to it.
Yeah.
You've got to be pretty resilient to get through it, though.
Yeah, 100%. And I can see you're a resilient man yourself. Yeah. So appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man.
I think a lot of builders would have got a lot out of this one. So appreciate it, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
That's it for today's episode. And thanks again to Forte for making this week's episode possible. If you're after timber surfaces that don't just look beautiful, but are built to endure, Forte is leading the way with a focus on sustainability and craftsmanship and unparalleled performance. They're helping bring ambitious projects to life across interiors and exteriors.